Well, Tom, it's almost hard to believe that this is the same amplifier. This is your sb220 that you sent up here. And this amp has been heavily modified on the inside. Not by me, this is the way it showed up. And my whole goal here was just to make it work and work right. It was pretty close, but we had to fix all the exterior damage to it first. The smashed face, I don't know if you noticed in the pictures, but the faceplate over here in the corner was completely smashed. This meter was completely broken and inoperable. All the knobs had been bent. The middle of the cabinet had a big wing here and it was bent kind of back and in a U, back. This corner was bent. This whole corner was bent in, and the switches were completely pushed in and recessed. But we've got all that fixed. I even got all the underlining metal material all lined up. Now, the only major thing I did to this was that I changed the parasitics inside the tube, or on top of the tubes. And then I changed the input tuning circuit just oh so slightly. Now, the underside of this thing is very creatively put together. Very creatively put together. And I didn't want to deviate from that too awful much. I felt like if I spent too much time poking the bear, eventually it'd wake up and I'd spend 3 days on this thing rewiring it. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to get this thing going for you, Tom. So let me pull this thing off the tripod. We're going to go over what this thing is doing, what we had to do to it, and then we're going to show you how to tune it. Because this is a very special little girl, this amplifier. So give me just a second. So Tom, we're going to start over here. As you've seen in the pictures coming in, this whole corner of the amplifier was completely smashed in. And the whole cabinet was beat in. And I fixed all of that. This whole corner was bent down and pushed in. And all the substructure was bent and bowed up. And your switches were completely busted. Now the knobs had all been pushed back in, and the little aluminum bezels that go all the way around the outside, they were bent back kind of like a half tuckle. But now, boys and girls, I want to tell you something. This knob here is not a band switch. This is his input tune, which is a neat design. Down on the bottom side of the amplifier, they've got a little induction coil, and it doesn't have a choke in it. What it's got is a piece of 316 coax that's soldered to the board, and then the center conductor comes over, and it goes down to a little air variable that's down in there. This has a custom tank coil in it, which is so pretty, but this thing works. Now, like I said, I modified the parasitics. I took the ones that were in there because they were very half-ass, and got that fixed. I modified the diode board on the bottom side so that when you step on the pedal, it brings it back to like, 4.8, and it was at like 9 volts. So I added an extra 2 diodes to it. The other thing I did is that your high voltage board was held in with double-side stick tape, which I didn't think was going to last too well. So I went down in here and I fabbed this copper bracket, and then I added an extra bolt to the filament transformer. The filament transformer sits right below that high voltage board, and it was held in by one screw and one nut, and it was loose, and the transformer was wiggly-woggling back and forth. I fixed that. So I put another one in there. I tightened up the board for the high voltage. This is minimalistic at its best, you guys. The only thing that we could have done that would have been cooler was to take that puppy and put it outside the amplifier, the power transformer back here. This guy. On high, 3000 volts. On sideband or CW tune, 2500. Everything works now. The grid meter, the relative power, and the plate meter. The grid meter was not functional, and the relative power meter was not functional at all. Replaced both the light bulbs in this thing because they were both no good, and I think that had to do with it getting shipped out here. Took the fan all apart, cleaned the fan, realigned it with the cabinet because it was not aligned properly and it was sitting there ticking when you turn it on. It was awesome. Other than that, straightforward. Slapped a pair of Z's in it. The key-in circuit in this thing is pretty cool. Been a little bit modified. There's this power button that's down here on the front. That's standby. That's operate. And this is completely a soft key. The internal circuitry on this thing has been radically modified. So we're just going to use my little foot pedal down here to key this thing tonight. See? Step on the pedal, no go. Push the button and go. We're going to use the 2950. We're going to push it into the 2-pill bench amplifier. I got a 50 watt slug in reverse between the amplifier, the 2-pill amplifier, and the sb220. You're going to have a meter on this tom when you get it set up. And I'm going to show you the minutia of doing that, because this thing is very, very, very sensitive. Just that much movement is the difference in 500 watts of output. That's no joke. But man, when this thing runs, it really runs. Okay, so let me get the tripod set up. I got to figure out how I'm going to set this so it can show the knobs and the meter. I think I'm probably going to have to go at like a high angle like this. Yeah, that's what we're going to have to do. So give me just a second and we'll get that set up. It's about as good as we're going to get right there, I think. Okay, so you got your tune, your load, and then your input tune. Okay, so we're going to start out in low tom, so we're going to flip this back to the 2500 watts. And then you want to start out with just a small dead key. Now, what we got going on is this 1000 watt slug, but with the 3 times multiplier on it, okay? 1000 watt slug in average, 5 watt slug in reverse, and a 50 watt slug sitting between the 2-pill amplifier and, of course, the sb220. So now you want to start out with a fairly small dead key. And you want to twist this knob till it's just about at the 10 o'clock position, or where it's marked at 10. And then you're going to want to go ahead and drive it up. Now there's 2000 watts. And the difference between 500 watts and 2000 watts is literally 1/20th of a turn. You come over here and you dip your plate. And then what we need to do is we need to look at our reflect meter. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to turn this knob so slightly. But let me pan over to the input meter. We'll zoom on down in here. Okay, so this is a 50 watt element. Alright. So full deflection is 50 watts. We're looking at that meter scale, the center meter scale, which is about 5 watts worth of reflect. Now watch this. We're going to dip that down to about a watt, which is pretty friggin' good. It's about 1 watt of reflect coming back to the 2-pill, which is phenomenal. Now let's scooch over here and let's see what we got for output on low. Okay, focus here. What does that say? Start focus. There we go. Now what that does is allows more RF to go into the tube, which allows us to get more RF out of the amp. Now what I'm doing is I'm redipping the plate. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to put this up on high. There's 2500 watts peak power. It's a beautiful thing. 2500 PEP. I'm going to back out, Tom, and I'm going to show you what I was doing over here. Let's go ahead and we'll back this over. And what we're doing is we're peaking it out. We're peaking this thing out for its maximum amount of peak power that we can get out of it. So we come over here. Hello. Very fine adjustments. Then we want to make an adjustment over here. Hello. Come off the key. Now we're going to check our input reflect again. Hello. And if everything's perfect, we'll have about a whole watt worth of input reflect. You get about 2,500 watts out. Now this is with about 220, 230 watts of drive. We'll put this back on 1X. About 230 watts worth of drive. You don't need to put anything more in it. Now this being a mono band box, because it's mono band means you can put a whole lot more drive into it. It's entirely up to you, Tom, how much drive you want to put in this box. There are no physical elements in here that will cause this thing to fail. If you increase the drive, you're going to see a slight increase in output power. And I thought I had that all tweaked around. The plate amp meter is sticky. Okay. Roa, 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 roa. Well, Mr. B-Rad's giving me a call. Mr. Brian Smith. Oh, there we go. All fixed. Delicate. Delicate is the word that I'd use to describe this amplifier. But Tom, you're all set. I got the tin all banged out. I got the lid that was all smashed up. I got that all fixed. It looks like brand new. I got the back support. It's all set. You're ready to go. I'm actually going to shut this thing off. It's either going to click on the way up or it's going to click when it runs. I thought you'd click on the way up and click on the way down. You wouldn't mind too bad if it was going to click on the way up and on and off. It's small little click compared to listening to that thing when it's running. When this thing got dropped, the cabinet got tweaked this way, right? Careful about where I stick my hands here. Still got 250 volts on this thing. The cabinet got tweaked and rotated this way, okay? So I had to play a little game with the shot hammer and a piece of Dowelron and had to knock the cabinet back so that it's square. And one of the things that happened is that the fan in the back of the cabinet, as it's spinning, is just torqued out just right. It's not physically making any contact, but it's causing the body of the fan mount to be tweaked just a hair to where I can't straighten it out anymore. And it's causing the motor as it turns to rub at a low RPM. So and it quits. Is what it is. But it's silent while running. That's what matters. So anyhow, I made sure to clean that, oiled that. Well, first I degreased it, took all the grime and crap off of it, and then I took all the cigarette smoke out of the entire inside. This thing was kept in a cigarette smoking environment. And it quits. Cool. Tom, she's done. I'm going to wait for the tubes to cool off. I'm going to pull them out. I'm going to put the armor back on it and put it all back together. Okay, you guys, you're going to see a bunch of sb220s coming out here. And I mean a bunch of them. Because I got a bunch here that need to be gone through. And a lot of them are just very small things. I do have one for my buddy, Mr. Superstar down there in California, Mr. Steve, that I need to do. It needs a new plate transformer, new filament transformer, new partridge in a pear tree, new. The amp physically is in pristine condition. On a scale of 1 to 10, this would be a 9.5 of immaculate internal order. It is beautiful. The aluminum is not stained. The grill is not stained. It's coming up soon. And I do believe that that amplifier is going to be for sale. And it is 100% virgin bone stock. So that's literally turnkey, pull it out of box, plug it in, turn it on, and go play with it. So, but gentlemen, my name is BBI. Without a shadow of a doubt, I am the biggest mud duck in Idaho. Come check us out, www.bbiamps.com. This year we are translating completely away from any new build projects, and we are going to be doing strictly repairs. New build projects take too much time, they take up too much space, and I just want to do repairs. So that's all there is to it. That's the direction that we're going to start heading in this next year. So if you've got any questions that aren't covered on the webpage, dial that number, 208-392-0108. I will get back with you before the end of business day. Remember, my phone usually fills up by about 9-10 o'clock in the morning. I dump my voicemail every night. I dump out all 20 voicemails, and usually by about 9-10 o'clock in the morning, the voicemail is full. So if you do get the voicemail, you don't need to call back. I will call you back. It's got a caller ID on my phone. So on that note, Tom, you're done, bud. Sorry for the long delay. Finally got her squared away. That note, on to the next one. Gentlemen, I'll see ya.